to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be joined by, first off, one Mr. Joe, the beer drinker at Bloody Good Horror.
Not only will we be, we already are.
Yes. And next and last on the show tonight, we're not sure, but we think this might be a first-time combination, which is always a fun and exciting thing. The wonderful, indomitable, beautiful Mr. John Schnars.
I have, in fact, never been down. So
I like that I get just, hey, here's the guy who's here. And then there's, beautiful, exquisite John. This is definitely our first time.
I will say, Joe, you're rocking this new, eagle shirt. You got a new haircut. You're looking pretty beautiful yourself tonight.
Appreciate it.
So,
I believe this is only the second time there's been a 3-person cast on the show.
I don't know about...
Didn't you guys do one where, Eric dropped out or something, I thought?
That's true, but that had everybody else. I don't know, so maybe that was just 3 people until
I came
back.
No, it was me, Sophie, and Eric was the only other time I think that there were 3.
So Casey and I discussed that pre-show. That was the gallows.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I like to think that we're just losing John away from this finally being the podcast everybody's been looking for. Namely, just Eric and I.
That's right. Joe's just gotten real used to the Evan Joe situation. He likes the one-to-one banter.
I'm going to be honest. I think that Joe and I could have a nice little rapport going on if we did a 2-man show. Just say it.
Simmer down.
But John, never fear, because Joe's not my muse, There's only a place in my heart for one.
I never doubted it. I'm sure.
Trying to drop some weight. Desperately trying to lose weight.
If someone went to the deep archives, there had to be a couple 3-people shows when it was just me and Casey and the Newells, because if one of us couldn't make it, it's not like we had fill-ins.
It was
back
3
then.
people. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I didn't even say it, but we are here tonight to discuss The Bye-Bye Man. What I will posit is an early contender for worst film of 2017. I told Schnars you can mark it. You can start the Excel sheet now and mark it down.
Yeah.
My number one.
I'm taking votes. Yeah. We're collecting. I'm gonna update them weekly with Eric. When any movie Eric sees, it's like, all right, tell me where this goes. Okay, cool, thanks, man.
Oh my god.
This is the way to do it, so that Eric is on time at the end of the year. We'll just tally it up as we go.
Wait a second. I actually really like this idea. So it'll be blind though, right? I won't keep track of it on my end. It'll just be a test of my clairvoyant powers. You'll just say, "Okay, Eric."
I'm definitely not doing any of this.
No, listen, we're totally doing it. You just say, "Hey, Eric, where does this go?" And I'll be like, number 6. And then you write it down. And if I say 4 number 6s throughout the year, you keep track of that. And then at the end of the year, I'll do my list, and we can see how close I got. I think that's a great idea.
I kind of like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the worst idea, but it's among the 5 worst ideas I've ever heard.
This feels like a 5. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Okay. All right. So this is in the running. Listen, you just spoiled the review. If people weren't already spoiled by us calling it the Pee Pee Poo Poo Man for the last 2 months, you've spoiled it already. So here we are.
Oh, the Pee Pee Poo Poo Man. Joe.
Yes, sir.
You just got back from the most wonderful place on earth, didn't you?
Oh, did I ever?
You want to
Just
tell us
beautiful.
about it?
Yeah, the wife and child and I were down in Orlando, Florida for we were actually there for New Year's, so we went to Universal Studios for 3 days. We were there for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
Did they do special stuff?
They did, yeah. I mean, they had, so the parks were open late, obviously, and I don't know, we only made it till 10:30, I'll be honest. But they were doing stuff in the parks, and then in between Universal and Islands of Adventure, they have that it's like their City Walk, I think they call it. And we stayed at a hotel on site. We could take a boat that went right to the front of Universal, and literally so we're on the boat going back, and we can see City Walk where there's this big party going on. And I don't know if you've ever seen Apocalypse Now, where they're leaving that like the camp where all the troops are stationed, and there's like the Playboy bunnies are there, and like all of a sudden there's just like riots and like things, you know, people are going insane. Like that's what it looked like from the boat, like just lights everywhere and like people screaming. Like it looked like the end of the world.
And did you guys had your daughter with you?
Yeah, this was her. So she had been there once when she was very young, but this is the first time she really kind of remembered Universal.
Is there a weird thing when you do these Disney trips with her where like it's more for you than it is for her and she doesn't really care?
It was, I want to say we had gone twice, like once when she was like 1.5, and then once when she was just turning 3. Because after 3, you actually have to pay to get them in. So we're like, well, you know, let's do one more. So she, you know, it was definitely, we could kind of do whatever we wanted, and she just like liked the rides. But now she's 5, like 5.5. Like she actually has an opinion. She's like, I want to go do this. Like, and she sees this ride, and like she remembers the last time we went, like the ride she liked. Like,
I'll tell you what. Now looking forward to opinions.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely more like, you know, my wife and I, when we used to go by ourselves, we wouldn't wait in line for a half an hour to meet freaking Elsa. But now, like, we have to do that because, like, she likes, you know.
Is that the longest line now? The Frozen?
No, it was actually. So we were down after we left Universal. We were in Disney for 6 days, and it was a lot busier than I think it's been in like our other recent visits. So like we kind of jumped around and used like the fast pass, which gets you to cut to the line. But like some of the waits were over 2 hours for stuff.
That's so bougie of you to do fast pass.
Well, I'd say everybody does.
I support it.
That sounds
everybody.
But now there's got to be like a gold fast pass for people who actually have money, right? Because if everybody's
there
got a fast pass,
there isn't at Disney yet. I mean, I'm sure they'll come up with it, but at Universal, the reason we stayed on site is because you actually get that. You have to pay for it otherwise. Universal is really set up like a whole like tier system, and there's like different levels.
It's like the Schnorr's pass.
And then then the last 4 days was the Dopey Challenge, which was it was their marathon weekend. So the Dopey Challenge I ran was you do a 5K, and the next day you do a 10K, then you do a half marathon, and then you do a full marathon all over 4 days. So it's 48.6 miles over those 4 days. So
how do you do that, like physically? I'm not joking. I'm just seriously asking.
There was so they have a training like on it's Run Disney is the website that like sort of hosts all these things, and they have like a training to do it.
We should mention 1 week before you did this, you were on this very podcast hammered.
Oh yeah.
Sounds
true. It was interesting because so actually one of our listeners, a guy that I've known for a while, was down there doing it too, and we actually ended up meeting up and running all 4 races together. Jeff Petz is the guy's name. And
hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Hey.
And it was funny because the half marathon they actually ended up canceling because there was lightning and like bad storms that morning. So like everybody that was there for the Dopey Challenge, like you run these 4 races and you get your medal. So everyone's like, well, I'm not really earning it. Like they're going to give it to me. So we actually just went out into the resorts and ran 13 miles around the resorts.
I would have taken the medal.
Yeah, some people did. But it's actually really cool because like people staying at the resorts like saw people doing it and then would like go outside and they set up their own little like water stations to like hand out water to people running stuff. It was actually like really nice. Like I got choked up towards the end. Like,
all right, settle down.
You get choked up a lot, Joe.
I do. Yeah, I get emotions.
You might want to get
that.
Dude,
nothing like running 13 or 26 miles will get you pretty emotional too.
It was actually, I mean, we ended up running around one of their golf courses, and because we weren't really paying attention to the map, we ended up finishing the half, the 13.1 miles, at the bar at the golf course. And because down there you have like your credit card hooked up to your Magic Band, which is like the wrist that you wear. That you can just swipe anything. So like we ended up at the bar and then just had a beer while we were finishing.
God, it's like we haven't been with the kid. I mean, my kid's only 2, but
it is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I like can't wait. But then I'm also like, that sounds like a fucking money pit.
Yeah.
Like it's totally.
Yeah.
We during the marathon, it ends at Epcot, so you run around World Showcase, which is like all the little countries. And before we crossed the finish line, we stopped and got a beer. And like you just like swipe, and then at the end of the trip, you get an email saying this is how much you spent over the last week.
You spent like $4,000 on beer.
Joe,
you drunk.
Congratulations, Joe. I think you've emasculated all of us, and we're all very impressed. I do have one more Disney question.
Yeah.
We should mention the person that you were like beside yourself for meeting was a host of a Disney podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, Joe, his name's Lou Mangello. He hosts the WDW radio show, and I think I've talked about him on the show before. But like he's there every year, and like he sets up like he's he's got this whole sort of like thing going on. Like there's a WDW radio running team. So you saw like people with like shirts and stuff.
Is that what
And
you have to
he
call it so
used-
Disney doesn't sue you?
I have no idea how he gets around stuff.
They're
but, like,
probably pretty okay with it
It's
at
like
this point.
the
He's-
smile-
he's like a huge promotion for them.
The
like,
Smiley
yeah.
Mouse podcast.
yeah. He so he used to be a lawyer in Jersey and just quit and moved down to Orlando, and now he does like these podcasts and he does like these talks, and he did like a weekend retreat where like, you know, people can learn to like do whatever the crap he does.
He's living your dream basically.
He 100% is like, he is, you know, for people that actually go to Disney a lot and like listen to the podcast and stuff, he's like, you know,
Well,
sort of the great
listen,
Uba.
Joe, I don't want you to short sell yourself. You are the co-host of 2 successful podcasts.
Sure, but I'm not quitting
And-
my day job for it.
Well, and Joe, I mean, he probably does it by himself. Like you have like 4 wonderful friends.
That's true.
For life.
Intelligent, handsome.
He has
funny
guests every
friends.
week. He's got
Yeah. Would
sorry,
you?
man, you're losing that.
Would you quit your job if you could just do the Real Housewives podcast full time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would quit my job to do this full time. I would.
Yeah. Oh well, thanks.
I was gonna say doing any podcast full time sounds like
Yeah.
a
Great.
sweet
Yeah.
gig.
So okay, one last question. Is
Yeah.
the Star Wars thing open yet?
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
got like maybe 2 years.
Because I keep seeing things for it, and I'm like, is that? I want to know what that's like.
They've got a ton. Like this is the first time we've been there since they announced Star Wars Land, and so like Hollywood Studios is where they're
Is it
setting
all
everything up.
like?
And like
Is it all blocked off right now? Like
that
under
entire
construction?
park is like under construction because they're also building a Toy Story Land there,
Ooh, that sounds
like
cool.
right next to it.
Do you think you'll
so
be
they've
able
got
to walk
like
into
they
like the bar on Tatooine and then like slice a guy's arm off?
Oh, the canteen. I think there was like plans to put it in. I don't know if that's still there. But they have like this like area they set up where you can go and like meet some of the characters and stuff. Like we met Kylo Ren and Chewbacca, and they have like a bunch of memorabilia and
There's
stuff in there.
just,
So they're
like-
really pushing Star Wars
I
hard.
guarantee you go in there and there's just going to be a bunch of sweaty teenagers in like replicas of the really bad costumes that all those people are in that scene. There's just
That's
like,
what my wife.
there's just like a drunk werewolf in the corner just being like, I hate my life.
Hollywood Studios has always been like Leslie's favorite park. And this time we went there and she's like, I don't think I like this place anymore.
What's at Hollywood Studios anymore? That's like it used to be like Jaws. They had the earthquake
So
ride, right?
we-
No, you're thinking of Universal Studios.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, that's what I meant to. is
They had Rock and
Universal.
Roll Roller Coaster. Was that there?
Yeah, that's still there. So it's Tower of Terror. It's that. They have this thing called the Great Movie Ride, which is like you sit in this thing and it kind of takes you around to different scenes. But it used to be an actual working production studio. Like they used to do a lot of the TV shows there, and they filmed, I forget the name of it, but like some Bette Midler movie there because they had like a New York City sort of backlot. So you used to take like an actual tour. Like it was like Universal Studios. You would get on a tram, and it was like an all-day thing where like it was like a 3-hour like guided tour. But then they put in like all the rides, and now they don't do any filming there. So it's not really what it was when it
Now it's just dumb rides.
yeah, the
Ugh.
Star Wars ride is there.
Well,
With an Indiana Jones stunt show.
nice work, Joe. Welcome back. We're glad your heart didn't give out. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
John Schnorrs.
Yes, Eric.
I sat next to a man in my movie theater who had like what I would describe as like a wet cough. Like, you know, kind of like what I had like last week. Like you cough and you just hear stuff. It's right
Yeah,
next to
there's
me.
something in there.
And
It's
then
rattling.
and then he ordered food. And then have
Mhm.
you ever heard the
Cool.
sound of like somebody trying to eat food while swallowing their own mucus because they're sick?
Oh,
And that's what I listened to for 90 minutes during this movie.
Cool. Yeah, no, good. Glad
Which,
we're having
which
this
is a
conversation.
roundabout way to say, let's talk about trailers.
Do you want to talk schedule for a second?
Sure.
And that will kind of lead us into trailers. So
Listen, there's only 3 of us. We can talk about whatever you want.
it's true. We got time. Guys, let's just lounge into it right now. We've got 3 more weeks at the theater. We will be catching Split this coming week from one M. Night Shyamalan?
Yes, that's the,
Shame.
that's the,
Shyamalan?
that is-
shame on.
that is the
Shame.
Schnarzian pronunciation.
We will then be getting the final chapter. Well, I should say Resident Evil : the final chapter. And then a little film I don't know that we've actually talked about, but it's coming because it had previously been slated for end of 2016. It got bumped into this year. And Rings.
Ooh.
Yes.
I'll tell you what. I've seen this trailer a bunch of times. It's not moving me.
No.
You know, so I've actually been thinking about it.
It has not been. It has not. I mean, it. Okay, granted, it's been almost like 20 years since the original, but it has not. It's been 15 years, but it's not been long enough for me to feel nostalgic for all the awful J horror knockoffs.
Well, here's the thing: we haven't seen a film that's done like the J horror stuff well in a while. So if this does it well, okay, I'm interested.
You know, for me, my thing though is at the end of the day, if you're doing it well, it's still just a sort of Japanese take on the same ghost movie cliche bullshit. Like, there's gonna be a ghost. There's gonna be a sad ghost that needs you to do something in the real world to make it feel better, and then it's gonna stop tipping glasses of water off the table and shit.
Were you guys big fans of the original Ring? Did you?
I loved the American remake. I thought better than the original. It's really good. That was sort of
is it Gore Verbinski?
Yeah, so Verbinski. It's interesting because that was his big breakout, and then we're gonna see a Verbinski film really soon here with the Cure for Wellness, which looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks really, really good.
Stars Mr. John Schnaars.
Yeah, Dane DeHaan. Yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk about the cover of the New York Times art section I sent you guys.
Yeah, boy.
It literally just said "Meet Dane DeHaan," and I was like, "Eric's gonna freak out over this."
And then the sub headline's like, "Some people say he looks like John Schnaars."
They did quote me several times. No,
I'm pissed off. This guy stole my face.
We've got Split, Resident Evil, Rings. Yeah, I don't know. I'm good for Rings. I did get I got Get Out, the trailer for that again finally.
Which one is that?
Get Out.
It's the Jordan Peele movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah, I think
that looks pretty interesting.
I think that could be on my top 10. Just gonna say it.
Oh, I mean, I'm already slotting it in, like for sure.
I'm guessing just based on that guy's writing prowess and the cast and the way that trailer is bananas. It's crazy.
I'll be honest, every time I watch a trailer I get nervous and uncomfortable at how us 5 white guys are going to talk about that movie.
Yeah, you start looking
around. It's going to
be good. Yeah.
Here's the thing I want to ask you about, actually, because we've talked about it a little bit, and I don't know if we've talked about it on the show. I did finally get the trailer for Kong, Skull Island.
It looks amazing.
I think it looks amazing. Wait. It looks so good.
John C. Reilly.
That, right?
The best is the clip at the end where John C. Reilly's like, "Yeah, this is a good group of guys. We're all gonna die out here."
We're gonna die.
Dude, the cast is just so good.
But not only like the cast, but also just the bananas script is like the perfect way. Because I don't care about King Kong. Like, you don't have to tell me that same movie over again. Like, this story seems so just interesting.
Well, I think Casey was saying, and maybe he's like read more than us about it, but I think they're like leading this up to, they're reintroducing Kong, and then they're going to do a Kong versus Godzilla. That's like the thing.
Well, so here's what's interesting.
To jump back, they just opened a new ride at Universal Studios, like a Kong Skull Island ride.
Joe, what'd you just say?
It's Kong Island.
Skunk Island?
Skunk Island. It's skunks. It's weird. It's Kong versus skunks on an island.
He's actually just a regular sized gorilla.
Oh, no.
It's just him taunting.
That was a Schnaars level of mispronunciation there. That was really impressive.
But the ride, it's unreal. Like, so pretty much you're in like a big Jeep with everybody, and you're supposed to be going on like a tour or something. And pretty much you wear 3D glasses and you almost like drive into like a dome. So like everywhere you look, there's like crap going on. And like he's like jumping around and going like back and forth. And it was unreal.
And here's what's amazing about that trailer and what really caught my attention is like a minute 30 in, it basically turns into a trailer for like a Pacific Rim sequel. It turns into like a kaiju movie looking kind of thing, which I like really piqued my interest.
Well, it's just Kong fighting a bunch of fucking giant animals on this.
It's such a smart way to do it. I think it's just it looks really fun. We're definitely gonna do that on the show. So
yeah, well, it's actually like early March, and we had penciled 10th. It in. But then we had not fully discussed it, so I'm glad we're all aligned. That was the first time I saw the trailer, so I was super pumped.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen anything for this Patient Zero? I have no idea what that is.
No.
I have it penciled in. It comes out the same week as A Cure for Wellness, though.
So
it doesn't?
Two things I want to just a funny anecdote. One of our Twitter followers who it looked like had his own show or his own website or something, reviewed negatively the Amityville weird remake looking thing, and got a literal comment on his Facebook page from like Daniel Lutz that basically was like calling him an asshole for like ripping.
Oh my God! Did you see?
It
He
was
sent us.
It was unhinged. Like this comment.
He like blacked out like a lot of the nasty words. But he sent it to us in like a private message, and like he was dropping like the N word. Like it was insane.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Check our Twitter and our private messages.
So Lutz, of course, is I think one of the, because the father's dead, right? So it's got to be one of the kids from the original family. Whatever.
I think so.
Yeah, unhinged, I think, is what I would say. So
I don't know, but Jennifer Jason Leigh is in this Amityville: The Awakening.
Yeah.
Did it get a release?
No, I thought that wasn't coming out till like April.
Oh, June. Yeah, it's June
Did it get
30th.
pushed?
Oh, interesting.
So
Because it was supposed to get a release in January, and then it got bumped.
Yeah,
I didn't see anything about it.
the other thing I think we should add, because I know we're in the theater like straight for like a couple months here, but
Yeah.
something we missed in 2016 was the autopsy of Jane Doe. And
Yeah.
I've seen it pop up on some top 10 lists, and then people recommending it. So if we have a free week and we don't have an immediate like urgent fill-in, I think we should maybe double back on that one.
Yeah, so I have a list of stuff that either like that was like basically didn't get a release or like, but it was listed as like a 2016. Basically, yes, it's on our list, and we will pencil it in.
Yeah.
It's like on Netflix or something now, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Perfect. All right, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to talk about the Bye-Bye Man tonight. Why don't you tell us what we're drinking?
Sure. I mean, before we move on, can we just acknowledge that like this just feels right?
It does.
Like maybe
Yeah, no,
John. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to exclude, but I feel like this. I mean, should we decide what week we're recording next week and maybe not tell the other guys?
I'm with you. Yeah.
I would never do such a thing.
So the Bye-Bye Man, there's not really much of a plot there, but it's about these three kids going to school up in Madison, Wisconsin.
Where did you get that from?
What's that?
Does it say that on like Wikipedia? Because I did not get that.
They mentioned it like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
I was too busy listening to the sound of chicken fingers being.
Yeah. So anyway, they're going to school up in Madison, Wisconsin, home of Chris Farley. That's where he was born.
The Badgers, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I picked. It's only like 2.5 hours from where I live. We've been up there a couple times. It's a beautiful town. It's the actual capital. So I picked a beer from the good folks at Ale Asylum, based out of Madison, Wisconsin. Which is funny because I was looking at the beer there. There's actually a few scenes where they're drinking beers. And it's this like small little brewery in Ohio, which I've had a couple of theirs before. I thought it was kind of weird that they didn't pick something, local if they were trying to go for like the real Madison feel. But good story, huh, guys? Anyway, I picked a beer from Ale Asylum. It's their Big Slick Stout, which is a delicious 7% alcohol oatmeal stout. So very sort of creamy. I've talked about this a bunch of times. They usually use oats in the brewing process, and it gives it like a really smooth sort of taste to it. You get a lot of like dark chocolate, but a little sweeter than most stouts. Like you could almost compare it to like a Guinness, but not sort of that. Guinness has almost like a tart, like sourness to it. Like this one definitely doesn't. It's very good though. A lot of stuff. Ale Asylum puts out a lot of beers and a lot of really good things. And if you like stouts, I definitely suggest this one. And I think it's like a yearly release around this time of year. But definitely all their stuff I would recommend. Their website is aleasylum.com. And yeah, I mean, just a beautiful, straightforward stout you should enjoy. So there we go.
Soul Asylum. Great band.
That's right. It was made in collaboration with the guys from Soul Asylum.
Yeah.
It's their Runaway Train stout. Remember that in that video they actually like flashed like missing kids.
Yeah, they found kids from that video, I'm pretty sure. And then they made
didn't
like
find anyone.
because they made like a second one where they like added more pictures in. I remember.
Well, yeah, they were supposed to like rotate it like every month. They were supposed to change
Yeah,
it.
because then your missing kids are out of date at that point. It's just lame.
Yeah. I wonder if they're still doing that. Like Soul Asylum's still calling MTV, like, guys, we got another version.
Do you think
they do it in concert?
Do you think he still has? Do you think he still has white boy dreads?
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
They never look like actual dreads. They just look like he was filthy.
Yeah. Well, all right. It is time to discuss the Bye-Bye Man. So let's take a quick break so that we can do just that.
Jesus wept. This is Jake Busey. You're listening to the Bloody Good Horror Podcast.
This is it, gentlemen. Your big breaking TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
Oh, and we're back. That just, like many things tonight, that just felt right.
Felt good.
Felt like the right bumper for tonight when I was looking through them earlier. Jonathan
Eased it
Schnars.
right in.
John Schnars. A lot of people have been sending me Schnars lookalikes, but they've mostly been joke pics, which, I mean,
You don't appreciate.
I appreciate the effort, but also, like, this is a serious scientific endeavor, so I would like people to actually help me add to my data pool. You know? Like, sending me pictures of the midget from Twin Peaks doesn't really help me fill out my list.
I don't know. I
That
can
one was
see it.
good. It was good. It was strong.
Anywho,
yeah. I liked it.
Aside from looking like many white men, you also went to Duke, which really is the same thing.
Some white people went there. Some.
And when there,
Did anything but ever go there?
Stop it.
when there, you got a fancy book learning degree, which is why every week we have you bring us the word of the day. So let's take a break so you can bring us that word.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I struggled.
If you say bye-bye, you are fired.
So the word is no. I struggled a little bit. This isn't gonna make a ton of sense, but just stick with me, and I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it back to Bye Bye Man for you. Okay.
Why start now?
Today's word is incantatory.
Whoa.
Incantatory.
Okay. Go ahead.
Incantatory is the adjectival form of incantation. Incantation being the chanting or uttering of words purporting to have magical powers, magical ceremonies, magic sorcery, repetitious wordiness used to conceal a lack of content, obfuscation. So, incantatory is usually describing something as having any of those qualities. I found that word.
I see where you're going here.
It actually doesn't. I don't know that you're gonna. I'm coming at it from the same place you're thinking. The film very sort of obviously uses a quote from the German poet Rilke. I don't know if you guys remember this.
Too.
Oh yeah, he's one of my favorites, German poets.
Okay.
You would have a favorite German poet.
Did we all go through a German poet phase in college?
It's not like I've read a lot of Rilke or anything like that. But I was kind of like, they name dropped it pretty hard. I was kind of like,
just
I'm
a little
look
bit.
This up. So I went and read about him on Wikipedia, and one of the things, his early work was described as incantatory, and I thought that was an interesting word. So,
well, you might say, I'm not to save your ass here, Schnars, but you might say that
why does it need saving?
That the Bye Bye Man has an incantatory quality about him because you basically summon him by saying his name and becoming aware of his existence and his name.
Well, so wasn't that like don't speak it, don't think it, don't like that was.
God.
That's where I thought you were going with this, John, and I was on board.
You know, you don't want to incantatoriate it, and that was it's bad.
No, that's fair, Joe. You pulled it back. Eric had no part in pulling this back.
You incantate made his name, and then he comes and he murders you with his.
I think you're making up words.
Yeah.
He sicks his Resident Evil dog on you, and then it just kind of sniffs you. It doesn't actually do it that much.
Did that dog do anything?
He pokes you in the eye with his long prosthetic, badly made hands that he can't articulate properly.
The dog chewed on the face of one of the dead people at one point.
Yeah, the dog seems to eat the people after he kills them, or after he forces other people to kill him. Really, he doesn't.
Or them to kill themselves. Yeah. Spoiler alert.
John Schnars. Explain this movie to me.
Oh God. Bye Bye Man. He is a man, and he causes people to go by. I don't know. So the film
allow it.
Yeah, the film opens with this sequence set in like this like mid to late 60s in this town in Madison or neighboring town in Wisconsin, and we see this dude kind of just like a scholarly nerdy looking guy.
By the way, I don't believe it was Lee Winnell, but it might as well have been because I spent the entire scene trying to figure out if it was him.
Interesting.
I thought it was John Ritter at first, and I'm like, have they been sitting on footage of John Ritter for like 5 years?
It's
and
like
finally...
it's Lee Winnell from like the Saw movies and the Paranormal, or no,
He
the
was
Insidious.
a little more portly than
Yeah.
than
No, wait a
Winnell, I'd
second.
say.
It is him.
Was it?
I'm on his
Stop.
IMDb. His name is Larry.
No.
Yeah.
This
No,
movie.
that's
Do you know what that means? This movie
uh,
is part of the Wannaverse.
oh no! Don't go there.
I don't think
Don't go
that.
there.
I don't think that justifies.
The bye man, straight out of the further. It comes-
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah. All right. Let's come back to that.
I don't
In any
know how
event,
I'm going to be able to recover from this, you guys.
we're gonna come back and dig
Oh
in
my
there.
Goodness.
So Lee Winnell is wandering around the streets of this suburb saying, "Don't say it, don't think it, don't think it, don't say it," and then he like starts kicking down doors and shooting people and like asking them who he said. Basically, he's like killing anyone who's heard of the Bye Bye Man or is like aware of the Bye Bye Man, and then we see him try to kill himself, fail, and then like more aggressively try to kill himself. Flash forward to present day, and we meet Elliot, who
It's like a mouth breathing 20 something, let's say, like a
so
whiny
Elliot
little...
is most familiar to me from Big Love.
Yeah.
He has been in a ton of stuff. He was in Santa's Sleigh, famously.
Classic.
Yeah, he was in Terminator Genesis. He was in Ouija, the first one. He's been in a ton of stuff.
God, I don't remember him in Terminator Genesis.
I mean, neither do I, but like he's like the most forgettable actor, or like top 5 forgettable actors, I would say.
I feel like every time he comes on screen, I'm like, oh, that poor boy's sick.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he does not look well.
He actually looks exactly like this dude I went to high school with, but that's neither. I spent a little bit of time in this movie thinking if I thought he looked like Schnars. I decided not, but like maybe a cousin, like a Schnars cousin. He's kind of pale
like
in the same
the more
way.
sickly
Yeah.
cousin.
Yeah.
Like maybe if John like got some sort of illness that wasn't curable.
Sort of terminal
So,
disease.
all right, so we also have
And got a
God forbid.
And got like a
we-
perm.
we really only have 2 other characters here, I would say. We have Sasha, who is Elliot's girlfriend, and then we have John, who is Elliot's best friend from like high school or like way back. They are all moving into a house together in like that they're renting in Wisconsin, and they're really excited about it. It is it's a dump. I mean, it's like a level of dump that they're like excited to move in, but it's like the amount of work that it would have taken to get the house to like livable.
One
Yeah.
of my
Seems
favorite
extreme.
things in this movie, and this is we're gonna interrupt this every 5 seconds. I'm sorry, Sean.
There's a lot of favorite
They have a
moments.
drawn out conversation about with the girlfriend being like, listen, you guys are gonna help me fix this place up, right? It's not just gonna be me. And then they cut to them living there. They didn't fix anything up. Like they didn't clean
No.
the floors, they didn't wipe the counters down. They just moved all their stuff in and living there, no fixing up, like no
I would-
montage.
well, the bedroom is like pretty well done at that
Sort
point.
of, but there's still
No,
like
that's
an inch
all
of
stuff
dirt.
they found in a basement, including the mattress.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
that
a-
was the weirdest part.
that's like a
They're like,
murder
I don't want
bed.
to stereotype women, but I don't know any woman in this world who would be like, "Oh yeah, find this mattress here in this basement. That's cool. I'll sleep on that."
that somebody was
Well, 'cause-
probably murdered on. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
renting this place as furnished, and they're like, "Ah, it's weird. There's no furniture in here." And then they go down the basement. It's like shit with cobwebs on it.
Which
Oh,
by the
cool.
way-
This
Yeah,
thing
this
that
was
like
furnished.
rats are breeding on, yeah.
Which, by the way, like the fact that all the furniture is in the basement is made out to be a big deal, like it really has nothing to do with the plot, other than it just makes the place seem skeevier than you would
Dude.
normally think. That
All right,
furniture
hold
could.
on.
My point being that furniture could have been in place everywhere, and it wouldn't have changed anything fundamentally
Hold on
from
now.
the plot.
Explain to me what the house has to do with the plot. Like, why is the house there?
Because it was that guy's house, we find out, right?
That was never immediately clear to me. The only thing that we know
I
is
didn't
that the
pick up on
side
it.
table is his table.
Yeah. I thought it was just a side table.
It's like that Amityville sequel where the lamp is possessed. Have you ever seen that movie? And the two old ladies buy it at like.
They did like a few of those. There was like a clock. There was a lamp. It was pretty much all the items from
John,
the house.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves here. So they're in the house and it's dirty.
Yeah. They move into this house. They're like hearing like
whiny
weird
guy.
shit.
It's whiny guy. It's his skinny whiny girlfriend and his like buff athlete best friend who is very inappropriate with his girlfriend from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, from the drop. He's definitely. Well, here's the thing.
Too handsy. Too handsy.
Like weird stuff is happening from the get-go, and it's sort of like unclear, and it's like kind of laid out that pretty early on we learned that the Bye-Bye Man can basically like do whatever the fuck he wants. Like he can make you see shit, he can like move shit around. He's got a dog who like pops out randomly just to like creep people out again. I don't know. But
I don't know. The dog seems fine.
No, I think the dog's really just there for companionship.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't really do anything.
Of the Bye-Bye Man?
His name, it's the Bye-Bye dog.
Well, hold on. Why? How about the scratches on the side of the house? Did the dog make those scratches?
Sure.
Well, dog's got a scratch. I mean, the dog gets bored too.
But like, why? All right,
Listen,
whatever.
Bye-Bye
Dog gets
dog.
bored too, Joe.
Yeah,
we might come back to the scratches.
Bye-Bye dog needs entertainment as well.
Yeah. So yeah, they're living in the house. Weird shit starts to happen. He finds he opens the drawer, and in the drawer there is basically like a what's that called? The drawer bottom fucking fly paper or something.
It was like
shelf paper.
Shelf
I think
paper.
is
Shelf
what it
Thank you.
But written in a circle, it's like don't think it, don't say it, don't say it, don't think it. Like in a circle around this paper.
I love
and
you
he's like,
doing it. It's my favorite thing.
Cool,
Yeah.
interesting. He's like, oh yeah, interesting. Like this is weird. Takes it up. Underneath that, it says the Bye-Bye Man. Boom, Bye-Bye Man in the world now. Like all it takes is someone reading the Bye-Bye Man. He is now up in your shit.
Also, we should say one of the Bye-Bye Man's like first act tricks, let's call it, is that he makes old coins fall on the ground, and then you pick them up and you look at them, and there's like, I'm not lying, there is zero significance to the fact that it's a coin. Well, it does nothing other than you're like, oh, that's weird. There was a coin. There wasn't a coin there before. Now there's a coin. I should pick it up and look at it. But I can't. I'm not looking at it close enough to read it. And also, it has nothing to do with the rest of the plot.
So
maybe take it to a coin shop. Like there was like 8 or 9 of these things. I'm like, I feel like I could pay rent with this thing.
You guys are gonna call me crazy, but like the Rilke quote that they quote in the beginning of this movie is about a fucking coin and about like chance and like the flipping of a coin.
All right.
So like,
well,
that quote comes out of nowhere. First and foremost, he literally finds it, quote unquote, for his girlfriend while she's researching a fucking paper, which like I guess the paper was about Rilke.
But honestly, like that seemed like such a throwaway scene. I didn't give any significance to what they were talking about whatsoever.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have any relevance to like what the Bye-Bye Man does or like
it
his
doesn't.
whole.
No, it doesn't.
No, the poem was actually called The Bye-Bye Man. You guys didn't know that. That's what the poem was called. No, yeah, it makes no goddamn sense. But that is the only reason that the coin then, like it's the only connection that the coin has to anything.
All right, keep going.
Bye-Bye Man's just a coin enthusiast.
I mean, like, there's not a whole lot else to get through here.
So,
like,
so
the
basically,
Bye-Bye Man starts harassing them and like making them see shit.
Here's the key weapon of the Bye-Bye Man. He lurks around, and you see him, which scares you. But then the key thing is that he makes you see things that are not there, which that turns you crazy, and it eventually causes you to murder either other people or like kill yourself, and then his dog eats you. And if you tell, I'm dead serious, Schnars, you better get your shit together. If you tell anyone else about the Bye-Bye Man, you have essentially passed the curse on to them, and then they are going to then experience the same thing.
Literally, all they have to do is know about it. It's the weirdest goddamn thing.
Has to be there. You just say it. The Bye-Bye Man is pretty much like a 1980s advertisement for like not doing acid.
So
like, I feel like it's like a.
All right, let's very
if
quickly.
you replace the Bye-Bye Man with a tab of acid, like that's pretty much a video we had to watch.
I feel like we don't even need to do this, but let's very quickly do a roundtable because we need to get that in. And then I have so much stuff about this movie I want to talk about. This is going to be a 3-hour show because I don't know what's happening. Joe, what did you think?
I mean, I wasn't a fan. I knew nothing about this going into it. I don't even think I watched the trailer, but Unfortunately, before I started to see like a few people commenting on Twitter saying how bad this was, so I was not really expecting the best when I walked in, but I was at least thinking, all right, there's going to be some jump scares and stuff that are going to get me, but like there really weren't any. Like there was nothing. And I think Eric, you talked about it over email. Like the most frustrating point for me was like they don't give any sort of backstory on the Bye Bye Man either. Like
it's such
there's no
it's
like
so
lore
complicated,
or,
and they never explain who he is or
no,
why he's
like
doing
they
this.
never, I don't know if they're trying to set up for like a sequel, which is going to give like the back, but there's nothing. So it's really like it's such like a just top movie with just like really just surface level stuff. Like it was bad. It was really, really bad.
John.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's going to be really fun to catalog all of the most ridiculous parts. And that's what I was just laughing about because there's just so many things that are so absurd.
It's hard to pinpoint. Like I was thinking about it after, like I can't, like it's almost too many where I can't think straight. Like
no, and it's the funny thing is, it's not funny when you're watching it. To
No.
Joe's point, like
Listen.
I would have preferred more jump scares. I was in a theater with like a ton of kids because I went on Saturday night. Like,
there's a couple of cheap ones, but it's not the whole way through like you would expect.
But they're
Oh,
not even like
yeah.
well done. Like
Yeah,
they're
they're
not
not.
like
No,
there's
no,
no like
yeah.
tension. Like no, there's nothing.
Like
It's-
here, this movie is almost indescribably terrible. I mean, we're gonna do our best, and I have a lot of things I want to talk about, but it is so badly scripted and edited, it's unbelievable. Like it's one of the worst things I think. One of the worst. Sometimes we review movies for this show that are just boring. Like we did that Naomi Watts movie recently, and we even said on the show, this isn't an objectively bad movie, right? Like all the parts are kind of put together, right? And if it was a painting, you'd look at it and you go like, oh, that's a person, but like a really boring looking person. This is a badly put together movie. Like it's badly written, it's badly directed. It is a group of some of the worst actors we've ever seen in a movie on the show, including like I'm gonna say Shriek of the Mutilated.
oh yeah,
like
it's up there.
These are actors that if you told me this was their first ever movie, I would not be surprised. And some of these people,
This was the
like-
girlfriend. This was her first movie.
well, she's the one who doesn't even have a
That's
picture
not a
on
surprise.
IMDb. But like the boyfriend
Yeah.
we were talking about with the curly hair, dude's been in like 20 movies, and he is. And to be fair, a lot of it with him is like he's given such awful dialogue in this movie and things like acting crazy things that he's supposed to pull off that he's just not like is just not in
No.
his range right now.
Can I
You know?
throw you something about the script? It's funny because like I wasn't even gonna get into it, but I did look up the writer. So the writer and the director have like worked together. That's how they both ended up on this project. The writer is Jonathan Penner, who had a guest spot on Seinfeld back in the day, and is best known
Wait.
for being on 3 seasons of fucking Survivor.
Wait, what?
Oh.
What Seinfeld episode?
Wait,
I've seen every
what?
Seinfeld episode like 100 times.
I have 2, and I like could not place him.
Was he, like,
I don't know. I
man?
was looking at his pictures, and there's like a picture of him
Well,
on Seinfeld.
here's what it feels like, right? It feels like it's so nonsensical. It feels like a script that was rewritten 10 times, and then something that there's a lot of context left on the editing room floor. Like mercilessly or mercifully, it's like 90 minutes, so it's over quick.
Oh my god.
But the result is that there's like clearly a lot of exposition and context cut out of this that renders the film almost completely ununderstandable. Like it
There's-
is.
Well, all of the backstory, we were like kind of joking about it. There's literally no part of the backstory that has any context whatsoever.
So right, so what we see is this flashback, right? We see Lee Winnell apparently, actually, which is hilarious because I had convinced myself it wasn't him. In the '60s, murder all these people in the neighborhood, right? And so even when you get your later like third act info dump of here's what's going on, all it does is explain what happened to Lee Winnell in the '60s.
Which like
is-
we already knew
so-
because once you know what the fucking
You know
Bye-Bye
what
Man does,
happened.
it makes total sense
Yeah.
what he was doing.
But like, so you have this movie with this incredibly like convoluted acting, complicated antagonist, and have you ever seen a movie like this where they don't tell you who he is, they don't tell you
No,
like,
nothing.
and the thing
It's
is,
nothing.
it's funny because I always complain like I don't care about the sad ghost and why he's sad and what you need to do for him, but if you're gonna introduce a villain like this complicated, you need to try to explain to me why he's doing things like dropping coins, or why does he have a dog that eats your face after you're dead, or like why?
Dude, how about someone asked this on Ask BGH, so I'm kind of spoiling, but what the fuck's the deal with the train? Why is there a train?
Why?
What is the significance of the train?
So that's where I say, like, it feels like that stuff was there and got cut out, and if it wasn't, that's even crazier. But it feels like they cut it for time or something.
So this guy, the guy who wrote this, you remember the episode of Seinfeld where Kramer gets the rickshaw?
Yes.
Yes.
When Kramer and what's his name, Newman is on the rickshaw and Kramer loses it and lets go. This guy who wrote it is the guy that the rickshaw runs into.
Dude, that's good detective work. I saw the episode was called The Bookstore. I did not.
Yeah.
Maybe
and I do remember. I watched Survivor. Like I remember this guy.
He's on
from being
3
on Survivor.
episodes of Survivor. Like
yeah, he was. I think he was either voted out or he got injured and had to be taken out.
Maybe he sustained a head
you were
injury from
curious.
the rickshaw. Like,
oh, and you know what? The director is actually his wife. They don't just work together. They are
That makes sense.
spouses of each other.
So
now I just feel bad. I hope their relationship's okay.
I don't feel bad. There was something
No,
before we did the roundtable. There was something I was trying to get to though, like another hilarious. So I mean, there's so many things we can talk about. We can talk about the inappropriate relationship with the best friend. So then,
I thought the best friend was very charismatic. I was totally into him myself.
He was probably the best.
But like, if you're somebody's best friend, don't be that handsy with their girlfriend, man. Like back off. Like
Well,
even before the hallucinations, I feel like there was a scene where I was like, that like the party scene, right? That didn't seem to be a hallucination. That seemed real, and they were like crotch dancing with each other. I'm like, that
How
seems
about the
weird.
fact that the little girl goes up into the room, finds the coin, the dog like comes out from behind her. She has no idea about the Bye-Bye Man. No one's ever like planted in her head.
No.
So like, how is that following the fucking rules?
So
the Bye-Bye Man shouldn't be able to bother her.
You mentioned this scene, and it's the scene where I realized, oh no, like when that little dumb-looking dog poked its head out, I went, oh my god, this is gonna be the worst movie I've ever seen. The CGI on the dog and the Bye-Bye Man is so incredibly bad, and they make this like really ill-advised decision of not hiding him. Like they bring him out into the open in a well-lit scene and just put the camera on him. Like check out this funny-looking dude with a robe and like really bad prosthetic hands. Where you know that thing where the rubber hands and they can't articulate, so their fingers are just flapping in the breeze. It's like, what year is this? What am I watching right now?
My favorite ridiculous thing, maybe not favorite, there's so many, but the robe that was hung on the wall in the shape of the Bye-Bye Man.
Yeah.
Like,
Who does that?
I was like, take it off the wall, bro.
Well, what was it? Was it a robe? Why did it have a hood? Like,
Who goes to sleep at night with that in the bedroom? Because
No.
every morning you're gonna wake up and be like, "Oh my god, there's somebody there."
Well,
Like,
here's what's
just
hilarious
move
is
it.
in order to look like that, it would have had to been hung like backwards, right?
I just love.
And
He's
there
like
would've- and there-
hallucinating. There's a dude, and then he turns the light on. No, it's just a creepy shape.
Also, it would have had to
The
been
thing had to
hung.
be hanging like 7 feet from the ground. Like there
It
had to
would
be
have
like a
had
hook.
to,
Like
but it would have had to been
halfway up.
hung from like a random nail on the wall. There wasn't even like a coat rack there or something.
There was nothing. It was that was the most, because they come back to it like 4 times.
And so,
Yeah.
like this film is just plagued by nonsensical things. I'll be honest, like you guys say it's not funny. I was laughing my ass off a lot of this.
Oh, there was funny moments,
to the
but
point
they weren't meant
where,
to be funny.
to the point where, like being in a pretty full theater by myself, I feel like people were looking at me, but I was like, how do people not find this hilarious?
No,
I mean-
there's specifically 2 scenes, and I guess we can spoil this. I don't want to give anything away, but there's like one person gets hit by a train, which I thought like they showed it like flat on, like the girl getting like crushed, and then there's a scene where the main character runs over somebody with a car, and they show that too. Like that like was comical to me, like almost like trauma level. Like,
Well, it's weird. So this movie's PG-13, and the like, it's one of the first times it's like aggressively stuck out to me that something wasn't rated R, because in the beginning when the dude walks into the house with the shotgun, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but it just like stuck out so much to me.
There was no blood when he shoots the
Yes.
woman against the wall.
He shoots this woman like point blank. She flies back, puts a dent in the wall,
There's a
and
hole
falls
in the
down,
wall.
and there's literally no blood.
It was
It's like,
very,
what
it was
in the-
very. Do you remember the bloodless slit throat in Prom Night? It was very much reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
Where like she literally had like a ketchup line on her neck, and that was it. There was like nothing there.
Yeah. I mean, but so like to Joe's point, like those kills, like the car and the that after the car
Train.
when he goes and finds the woman that he hit the librarian, and she's like,
oh, that's what it was.
That got
okay.
laughs.
Okay.
Like people laughed.
All right, we have to talk about the librarian. So, in the second act, the guy, basically the one main dude, the boyfriendy guy, he's the only one who's really, well, I guess the girlfriend is the first one who's convinced there's something going on, right? And then she eventually convinces him, and then he goes to the library and starts looking up like old-timey documents, I guess, and he's like searching. I guess he already knows the Bye-Bye Man's name at this point, right? Because the little dresser thing.
Yeah.
So he searches it, and what happens? He finds a news article. This makes no sense. He finds a news article that was never published, but for some reason the library has the article.
Yeah, as someone who worked in a library and also on a newspaper.
Also, I've written for newspapers, and that doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
they had it was called the Dead Articles file or something, like the Dead File.
Yes,
and it was basically it was articles that had been written but not published, but we still have to save them. Which
because
is not a thing.
Because
as far
the
as I know.
newspaper
just like printed out folded paper.
Yeah, well, so and she makes a big deal about these are old documents. You have to wear gloves, right? So he's got white gloves on. First of all, he only puts a glove on one hand and he's handling them with both hands, whatever. But then they're freshly printed copy paper.
Yeah.
It's like the Phantasm Ravager like version of Reggie's clothes with no with the burn marks on them. It's like brand new paper and then mind you, he's a crazy person, right? Walking into the library, he's all disheveled and like hairy.
He's not completely off the deep end at this point.
He's
like
close though, right?
He's getting there.
Like he's on the edge.
And plus, you just look at him and you're like, I don't want this guy coughing on me.
And and he just straight up like tells the librarian lady all this shit, and you expect her to be like, well, that's crazy. And then there's like an awkward cut, and then suddenly she is the most interested person in the Bye-Bye Man ever, and she's like talking out theories with him about what might be happening, never once like questioning what he's saying to her. She's just like, what if the Bye-Bye Man is alive when you say the Bye-Bye Man, and then you learn about him, and then you're bye-bye. And you're like...
She does do the exposition dump.
I lost it during the scene. It is one of the funniest things we have ever done, seen on this show.
And like, there's like not a good way to like talk around this. I'm curious what you guys think. Like, this actress is like pretty recognizable. Her name's Cleo King. She's been on a ton of things. So she's got that like... she's got that like kind of like that woman actress.
Wasn't she also on Seinfeld? Isn't she? Never before I say this.
Yeah.
Go look
this is gonna be super racist when it's not her.
In any event,
What's her name?
But like it feels really out of place because all of her other roles are like comedy roles, right? Like I don't know that I've ever seen her in a dramatic role. And if you like kind of like look down her IMDb, it's definitely
my God, she has like hundreds of
yeah. But I feel like even when she's in like a with the exception of Deadwood, which I don't remember her from, like I feel like anytime she's in, like she was in like Transformers and stuff, she's usually like the comic relief for like 30 seconds.
She was on Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Yep.
Oh yeah, she's on a ton of TV. She's in The Hangover.
Her first ever credit was The Cosby Show. She was not in Seinfeld. That's my bad.
Yep.
But in any event, she just is kind of not the right actress.
No.
For the part.
You know what? It doesn't. No, but it doesn't even matter. It's the lines, right? It's the idea that this dumb kid would come in and start spouting this nonsense. Like in real life, that librarian would just think he was on like LSD or something, right? Because like, and instead, what makes it comical is the instant flip. And she is so into the Bye-Bye Man, like she wants to figure it out, right? And then she's the one who offers it up to him. Maybe what you have to do is like erase the idea of him, and then if you just erase the idea of him, then he'll go away. You take away his power. Like she says this.
Yeah, she figures out that that's what the guy was doing.
Right. She figures out that that's what Lee Winnell was trying to do because he, whatever. But then, so the kid goes, all right, well, I'll just scratch his name out. So he starts writing on these documents. And she walks in the room and sees him and loses her mind that he's writing on this, like, fresh copy paper that's supposed to be this, like,
ruining our
this
dead
50-year-old document. Oh my God, it's so.
Well,
I mean, in her defense, she's a librarian in Madison, Wisconsin. Like, this might have been the most exciting thing she has seen in like 5 or 6 years.
Dude,
Probably.
no doubt, yeah.
Well, and then she gets like a little like reprise somewhat later in the film where it's just her. Well, she actually gets two, I should say. She calls him, and I can't. What does she say? Like, oh, we got to get together or something. Like, I can't stop thinking about this bye bye man.
So at this point, the Bye Bye Man is like taken over her. So she
kills
wants
two people
to
at
kill
her
him.
house.
Yeah, like she kills her kids. I think is the impression.
Yeah,
I
that
got.
was disturbing. Like they actually show the kids, like they don't show their faces, but they show them laying down, basically. Yeah, and then there's a scene like we're getting pretty spoilery at this point, but towards the end where he's just gotten another info dump from somebody else, and then he's trying to drive back to the house to save his skinny girlfriend.
He gets the info dump from Faye Dunaway.
Oh my God.
And then all of a sudden, so he sees like the Bye Bye Man on the road, and he's like, you're not real, because he's just had this epiphany of like, you don't have any power over me. So he just drives through him, and then it's like, oh sweet, it's fine. But then he turns around to look at what he just drove through, and he stares at it for like 5 seconds, not looking at the road. And when he looks back, the librarian is in the road, and he mows her down, like murders her with his car. And then
he gets out of the car and goes up to her. He's like, "Oh, so we're gonna play head games, huh?"
And then we
like
see,
no remorse, no like, "Oh my God, I just killed someone." He's like, "All right, so this is how it's gonna be, huh?" Bye bye, man.
This was actually a nice touch, though. In the second before she's hit, we see that she had a knife in her hand. I don't know who she was going for, but like, that was kind of a nice little touch.
This is where like this movie, because we didn't even talk about the fact that he's fucking driving around with Bye Bye Love. I didn't know the version, like it was like a fucking like sort of punk version of the song. It was very strange.
Like,
was it? I thought it was the original. It was actually
the original's Everly Brothers, or not Everly Brothers.
It sounded like it.
He's like
but it's like way older than that.
He's trying to convey that he's like kind of going crazy, but he's singing this song in the car, but it's like it's so silly. This whole scene is so silly.
But that's what I'm saying, like there is a universe where this movie is like kind of like hammed up a little bit more, and maybe
I seem to for whatever reason I kind of like this kid, like I'm not sure that I've ever seen him in anything that I was like, but he's just not good in this movie, like he's kind of being asked to carry the entire thing.
Oh, he's 100% being asked. His girlfriend is not a professional actress. Like, I feel bad.
She's terrible.
She's much better looking than him too, by the way. Like, that's like the other joke of this movie. But that said, she is, literally has no idea what she's doing. And whatever, this script is not helping her, but like.
But a lot of it also is on her shoulders too, which is like not a great idea. Yeah.
Really, what I'm saying is, I wanted more of his friend. That's like I could have dealt with it. No, I'm just
seems like a nice guy.
The
Bye Bye Love was by the Newton brothers and Randy Cook.
Does it give you a year? I just feel like that it sounded like
I think it looks like it was written for this movie. It seems like they did that.
The goth girl too.
The song is a favorite song from like.
Yeah, no. I'm saying I think this version was written like they recorded it just for the.
Gotcha.
The goth girl that the one friend hooks up with, she also appered to be acted by someone who has maybe not been in a lot of movies.
I feel like I've seen her before, but maybe not.
But
so this actual scene is where the movie like went off the rails for me almost immediately.
Yes,
because the friend is like. They kind of play up the fact that like he's got a lot of women and like he brings a lot of girls home, and that's why they need like a house, because he can't like do this in the dorms anymore. And this girl comes over and like they kind of talk about how she can like talk to dead people and stuff, but then she's totally playing up the fact that she wants to sleep with him. And this guy who they've like set up as like a horn dog is like, well, yeah, let's have a seance. Let's not go upstairs and like bump ugly. It's like, no, I wanna have a seance rather than go roll around nude with you. Like,
yeah, it was a good time. He's actually like a really nice dude. That's what you probably didn't.
She has been acting since 2010, but has done nothing that I recognize other than playing teen girl in The Vampire Diaries.
Guys, I just remembered or was reminded about one of the other absolutely most outrageous sequences. Right. How about when the friend is in class, takes out his phone, as you do, starts to look at pictures.
Oh my God, yes.
Like, first of all, What fucking adult human is sitting in class just like, yeah, I'll look at pictures on my phone?
Not even in
know.
class.
I
One who
bet.
showed up late and like apologized, and like they made a point that like he's the only person that showed up late. He sits down and he's like, "I'm bored of this already. Like, let me start looking at my phone."
I don't know.
And then
Kids are
on his
a-holes.
phone, there's pictures of the bye-bye. Like, was the bye-bye man like making him imagine the picture? It was very.
I think the
strange.
pictures were in his head. Like he started to see them.
Well, it was still fucking weird.
It was stupid.
The fact that he was looking at his phone to begin with.
Really quickly before I forget, Casey and I discovered before the show the Bye Bye Man played by one Mr. Doug Jones.
Yeah, Doug Jones. I did see that.
Yeah. So anyway,
Who's great in this? He's really good.
So part of the problem of the script,
I like-
right, is that, I mean, the unfortunate thing is that Doug Jones is like an incredible physical actor. When the way that this movie uses the Bye Bye Man, you could have stuck any piece of meat in that costume, and it literally you could have just stacked meat up and put that costume on it, and you would have gotten the same effect. But the problem with the overall script, right, is it's all hinged on this thing of making them see things, and so like nothing has any weight because you kind of know. I mean, like yeah, he tricks them into doing things, but there's not enough. It's kind of a cheap device, right? So it just makes the whole film feel ridiculous because you're just
The other thing that's ridiculous with the whole idea is like you can apparently not survive the Bye Bye Man. Like literally once you've heard of it, the don't think it, don't say it like doesn't do anything. We've never seen anyone survive.
It's true. Well, Faye Dunaway, but she never knew his name.
Oh yeah,
She
didn't
never
know
heard it. Yeah.
So
That seems like a very bummer limitation for the Bye Bye Man that he's like.
yeah, it's like
Can't
a
just
virus,
tell
right?
whatever.
That like kills
That's why
the
he needs
host
a
too
dog
quickly.
to hang out
So
with.
serious question: why make his hands so big and dumb? What?
That's a
Why?
serious question.
Because creepy things. I don't
Yeah,
know.
So
why
I'm
not?
looking
'Cause
at
why
two.
not, I
I'm
guess.
looking at two different promotional stills from the movie, and in the video, and in both of them, he's like awkwardly trying to point his weird like prosthetic finger at the camera. Like so clearly that was a key.
Well,
part of
him
the
touching
costume.
the Elliot was like a thing. Remember?
I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't understand why. Like they didn't like all of a sudden he could like put stuff in his head. Like,
Yeah, so guys, the problem is you shouldn't really try to understand why. You just got to Bye Bye Man's the kind of thing you got to let like kind of just wash over you.
Wash over
do you
like-
think Elliot was a continuation of the movie E.T.? And Elliot, the Bye Bye Man is actually E.T.
the grown
And
up
the
version.
touching of the head is like his little thing now.
There's also this
but
whole
he's gotten, like,
ridiculous
old and
thing where
creepy.
like he wants to get rid of the end table, right? Because the end table really is what screwed him over because that's what taught him the name. So
Yeah.
instead of like I don't know
Setting it on fire?
burning it,
No,
he
just
he
throw it
just throws
outside.
it like 10 feet into the woods. Where then there's a weird little rope-a-dope in the third act with his niece, where you think she almost saw it, and then at the very end of the movie, the dad's freaking out, and he's like, "What's in that?" Well, no, the dad didn't even really know, right? The uncle.
No, he didn't
he's
know
just like,
the whole deal.
but
of what was
you
going on.
know that if she read what's in the drawer, that's bad. But she just, and there's a second where they try to make you believe it, and then she goes, "Daddy, you know I can't read in the dark," and then it's like,
Oh.
and that's like the end of the movie.
So this is like sort of the last thing. So and we're completely giving away the ending now.
We didn't
like,
even mention that Carrie Ann Moss is in this movie.
so the
For
uncle shows
legit 5 minutes. I mean,
the
that's-
uncle shows up to the house like as they like he realizes like something awful is going on. He doesn't actually see his like the main character shoot himself in the head, but he hears it from the other side of the door, and then the house lights on fire. And the uncle just takes the daughter and is like, well, that's over with now.
We
Like,
gotta get out of
he
here.
doesn't think to like go inside and see like, all right, well, maybe he just grazed himself and we might be able to do something. He's like, well, no, sweetie.
Also,
It doesn't matter anymore.
the whole
No, he
scene
does-
where the
wait,
kid is
he
like
does. He
trying
says-
not to talk and holding his hand over his mouth and being like, buh, 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 buh. It's
Also, it's the
It's
only.
so
It's
dumb.
first of all, he's really
Uh.
bad. Yeah, he's really bad at acting. That sort of like I can't control
I
myself
mean,
thing.
it's hard
also-
to do.
but
Like, I don't know
also-
what actor would get that right.
Listen, John, if you're gonna
Yeah.
be an actor, be an actor. Like be
Yeah,
able to
alright,
do
fair.
things.
You're right.
Sec-
I
second
shouldn't.
of
I
all-
shouldn't defend him.
Second of all, the idea that the Bye Bye Man can make you say his name is never touched in the rest of the movie, and then suddenly, when it's when it's like convenient for the ending, then he can force you to say his name to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, don't try
It's-
to.
It's
like,
very
put
Evil
logic
Dead.
on this film.
It's very Evil Dead 2, where like Bruce Campbell is like wrestling his own hand only bad. Like it's not fun to watch.
No.
This movie is a hot mess. Like it is a train
Beetlejuice will
wreck.
make you say Beetlejuice.
It is one of the biggest train wrecks I think we've reviewed on this show in a long time. And the fact that it is a wide theatrical release makes it to me so much worse.
Well, and
Do you
that's
guys
doing
remember
fine.
My Soul to Take? Like, I'd be interested.
I think. Well, it's funny because somebody asked us like this in regards to that on Twitter, and I think like they are almost kind of similar in the ways that they are nonsensical and funny in that sense.
Oh, one of you said like this is doing fine. Like it doubled its budget. Like there's going to be another one for sure. Like it's coming.
Well, that's what's so weird. It's like we really were joking about this movie for so long just based on the title. They marketed the shit out of it and they did a really good job. And apparently fucking people in the universe are just like really jacked up to see something called Bye Bye Man. Like it just.
Well, it's funny because I think even a lot of the people who saw it though, I retweeted that one tweet where the girl was like, the Bye Bye Man is the worst title I've ever seen for a movie, but I will still probably shit myself.
Oh yeah. But it wasn't that scary. Like you wouldn't.
Honestly, I hate to say
it's not
this.
a poop yourself movie.
I hate to say this, but like I would have been okay if they had added in more cheap jump scares because at least then like something interesting would have been happening.
So like we've reviewed like some terrible Paranormal Activity movies, but like that still has like it still like builds the tension.
There's still some tension, and you're still jumping. Like there's zero tension in this movie whatsoever.
Yeah, no, there's nothing.
Yeah, it's embarrassingly bad for all involved. I would say.
Yes.
Hopefully, members of the Lutz family don't email us, give us angry emails. Would you recommend it, Joe?
I'm gonna go with yes. Like I think we didn't really talk about the points that I liked, but no, obviously not.
John?
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
All right, very nice. I would also say no. And John, as part of our pre-show discussion, or maybe was it the beginning of the show where we talked about how I'm going to start my theoretical year-end list right now?
Oh yeah.
I would like you to slot this in as the worst movie of 2017.
Okay, I would pencil that in. I cannot wait for you to see something and be like,
I don't hear typing.
Was this worse than the Bye Bye Man?
I don't hear typing.
Yeah, well, I'm working on it. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's coming.
All right, great. Let's take a quick break so that we can do some fan mail.
Over here, I'm a boglin. Me and my buddies need a place to hide out. Come a little closer. Oh, did I scare you? Oh, I do that so well. If you take us home, we'll kiss your Aunt Martha. We'll eat your peas. And we hope you know lots of girls. Hey, the name's Boglins. Each sold separately, and we're looking for good homes. Maybe yours.
Hi, this is Tom Savini, and you're listening to BloodyGoodHorror.com.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back.
That is amazing.
We're back.
Completely forgot about Boglins.
Me too. I just had to look it up.
We've 100% run that bumper before. Also, they're back. Like they made other company or somebody is making Boglins again.
I definitely had one.
The funny thing is, I had one and they were disgusting because
Yeah,
it's
they
like
got so
latex
gross.
rubber and you put your hand in, it would
Yeah.
immediately start sweating and then they would just smell like death.
Oh, it smelled so bad. Yeah.
But yet, when I saw that they were making them again, I was like, I kind of want to buy one.
Yeah, I need that.
That and they're bringing Mad Balls back. That was another thing that I saw that I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
I need one of those.
Mad Balls. Those also got real gross.
First up, somebody submitted a picture for a lookalike of Schnars, and it's the tiny person from Twin Peaks. And sent a picture. It's in the video feed now. You know what? I kind of see it.
Yeah, yeah, I can see it.
If we could get Schnars in like a red suit and slick his hair back, I think we might be able to have a lookalike contest here.
One day perhaps.
Next up, this is for you, Schnars. This is from Spencer, our very own Spencer. Hey BGH, just got back from the Bye Bye Man, and honestly I think it has some problems, but overall I liked it. I thought it was an interesting idea that paid off in a few cool ways, and it strikes me as a sort of Freddy Krueger meets Boogeyman character. I don't understand where all the reviews are coming from. I kept reading that it was just another jump fest, and it's actually not. And sure, it has those kind of scares to appeal to its target demo, but it has a few more chilling moments that I liked personally. I tend to share Eric's disdain for the more recent slew of supernatural movies and kind of thought this one would fall into the same, but I thought it was more competent than the name given it need to be, than the name gave it. Yeah, I don't follow. Though I do agree that some of the acting could have been better and the main character was kind of dumb. Why didn't he just explain to the officer without actually saying the name? But they have to set up that ending, right? Have a great week. Don't mind me if I'm the only one that liked the movie. You are, Spencer, but I still love you.
Well, but we did. I don't know if we were talking. I think we were talking about it in the pre-show. This is at like 27% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is I just can't even
that's pretty
wrap my
bad.
head around.
That's bad though, right? Like that's not good.
I mean, it's low, but dude,
if you
like
told me,
Sleepless,
if you told me 40, I would be pretty shocked.
The like Jamie Foxx movie that came out this weekend, which also did really terribly financially, is at 13. Underworld Blood Wars. What do you think Underworld is at?
48.
18.
90?
Like
okay,
way worse.
That's fine.
Way worse.
Okay, the Underworld, I would watch Underworld every day, all day, before I watch this again.
Did they say how many people reviewed it though? Like, could this just be it's hasn't gotten many?
No, it doesn't have. It has very few top critic reviews. But it is 44% for top critics. I just don't even understand what these critics are fucking watching.
At least Underworld has that hilarious scene where Charles Dance tries to like kick fight somebody. Joe, we really missed the Sweet Brother Newsy references last week. Like you should have been on that show. It was upsetting to me.
Sweet Brother Newsy.
Oh, there it is. Next up, Caitlin. I listened to 3 random classics in a row, and John's words were premonition, apparition, possession. Can you guess what movies they were from?
Oh wow.
No, they were from the premonition, the apparition, and the possession. That's what the joke is, Schnars. And then
well, I was gonna say the apparition. I know was the apparition.
She said, "Clue, add the word the."
Nice.
Also hashtag Joe's beer game on fleek.
Oh, thank you.
info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. We're also on Twitter @BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. John, also, do we have anything on BGH Classics?
We have one BGH Classics.
So that's where, if you're a Patreon, you're listening to back episodes, we like people to tweet us kind of funny or interesting things that they hear in back episodes, especially because we don't remember like anything we said past 10 minutes ago.
So this one comes from Beth. That's at Nerds of Gore. She's the quote is, "I love it when you talk about the 1600s." Eric says seductively to Schnars, episode 276, Paranormal Activity, the marked ones.
Yeah, that sounds right. No, I really like the word origins,
I was like, I don't know what that's in reference to because that movie is, I don't know. So thanks to that, Beth. Would you like me to kick over to the SBGHs?
Do whatever you want, buddy.
All right, very good. So I'll start with Scott. That's Zegan at Zeganbart. It comes immediately from last week's show. He says, rewatching some of last night's show and realized I was desperately wrong not to include Schnars in the intro dance-off. There you go.
No, I still win, so it's fine.
I mean, I haven't brought my A game yet. I've been working on some moves. I like kind of practice it, listen to the podcast sometimes. You know.
I mean, nobody. When Joe really gets into one of the dubstep bumpers, that's real. Like he pretty much steals the show at that point. So.
I close my mind.
We actually got a number of substantive questions about the Bye Bye Man, so I'm excited to dig into some of this. Jeff at MyCatGlows says, any idea why the flashbacks in Bye Bye Man were so brightly lit? Was it lack of budget, or was there some point I was missing?
I chalked it up to like 60s.
Yeah,
like,
it was like, oh, here's like old timey Mad Men times. Everything's bright and clean, and
Yeah.
It was not the lighting is part of it, but it's actually more like the color palette that they're using that's
washed
signaling
out or something.
Yeah. That's my guess too. I agree.
It also, I mean, it was daytime.
Yeah, it is true. It was day. If you this comes from at Danny Darko, that's at Danny JPG. If you could have two horror titans go head to head for a movie, who would it be? Mine is Ash versus Sadako / Samara from The Ring.
I always
that is
thought,
crazy mess.
I always thought that the rumored Halloween Hellraiser crossover, when they were Dimension was trying to make that happen, I always thought that that would be kind of a cool idea of like Michael Myers being stuck in hell. I mean, the problem being that Michael Myers doesn't talk, so that would kind of, always with those versus movies, they kind of feel like they need to add people in. Like someone
like
for a
humans.
cipher, and that.
Yeah,
But
sure.
that's also kind of where those movies, in a weird way, as a horror fan, kind of go off the rails for me. So,
I mean, I think anything with what's his name, Pinhead, is tough because like he doesn't fight. He
doesn't
kind
actually
of just
do
like
anything.
stands around. I guess he could have like his minions. What the hell are the minions? The Cenobites. They would kind of swarm people. I don't know. But yeah, in hell would be sweet.
yeah.
True that.
Joe,
Chucky-
any
Chucky-
I'd like to see Leatherface and Jason maybe square off. That'd be fun.
Chucky versus Leprechaun,
Ooh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Interesting, strong.
or like really Chucky versus anybody would be hilarious. I think.
The Gremlins versus the Munchies.
Like, I think if you took the postmodern like Bride of Chucky, and pitted him against anyone, you could make a really funny movie.
There is a new Chucky movie. We haven't talked about it on the show. We'll have to, we'll have to wait
That's
till
true.
March.
They're following up the one that they did with Brad. It's Brad Dourif's daughter that stars in this, right? And she's in this new one, and there's like a cult. It's called like Cult of Chucky, and there's like a cult of worshippers obsessed with him. And the synopsis actually sounds super interesting. I think we gave that last one like a fairly positive review.
We tolerated it for sure.
Yeah.
I forgot that was a thing.
It was like direct to
the
video,
one we did last.
kind of, yeah.
All right, moving along.
I'm into it.
Joe at that baseball Joe says, with the first Ouija and the Bye Bye Man, is it safe to say if Douglas Smith is in a horror movie, it is most likely garbage? Not a crazy question or a rule of thumb.
Who is Douglas Smith?
He's the main guy.
Okay.
He's
Is he in?
yeah,
Is he the
Elliot.
boyfriend? No, first Ouija. Oh,
I don't know. I never saw it.
The teeny one. Yes. Okay. That
Yeah.
seems like a movie he would have been in. I'm with you.
Curse of Chucky. I completely forgot that movie existed.
Did you? You might not have been on the show. Who knows?
No, I definitely was. I think we saw it in the.
It's
No, it was direct to video, right?
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was direct to video.
Yeah.
It was way better than like a direct to video of 2014 or whatever it was. Chucky movie, I think, had a right to be.
Moving along, Robert O'Neill at the Rob O'Neill. I think we may have mentioned this up front, or maybe it was on the pre-show. He says, "What's the best piece of hate mail the show has ever received? Because I got you beat." And he got an interesting piece of hate mail from Daniel Lutz. Eric, do you want to fill in the backstory there?
I think we talked
Did
about
we
it.
already talk about it?
I thought it was on the pre-show, but yeah, maybe we already talked about it.
I think we talked.
Daniel Lutz of the Amityville, he's a crazy person and said some nasty
Did
things.
we decide that he's like one of the sons of the Amityville family?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the deal. To me, like the whole Amityville thing just stinks to me. Like if you really look into the family, it's so shady. And then the fact that the Warrens were involved, it just to me goes off the rails. So like, as soon as I hear the name Amityville, I'm kind of just rolling my eyes at this point in time.
Yeah, Daniel Lutz is he's the guy that was in that documentary that came out a couple years back, My Amityville Horror.
Yes, and that was the one that, in particular, they really soured me on the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they show, that's the one where the joke came from, where I saw they show the Warrens.
Lorraine Warren
and
has
there's
a
a
chicken,
fucking
like,
chicken in her kitchen. Yeah.
A live rooster.
Yeah, that seems like a normal thing.
Yeah, nah, she's a nice lady.
Sure.
So, all right, this is actually a good one. Well, I mean, they're all good ones, but this is we should have probably thought of this ahead of time. At Simon Honeydew asks, to each of you, what would your bye bye man name be using the format blank blank man?
Oh boy.
Mine would be something like Sleepy something man.
It's funny. So I was trying to explain to my wife why we were calling this the pee pee poo poo man. I mean, it didn't take like a lot of explanation.
It's not funny unless you're us, and then you saw that meme that somebody sent out where they changed the title on the movie poster.
Well, no, but like when I said it to her, she's like, yeah, it is a really stupid name. That makes sense. But there was a joke we had in college, and it lives on in a fantasy football league title that we have. But it's the Meat Mop Man, and Meat Mop was what if you were sort of a suboptimal robot, that's what the robot the idiot robot says.
Oh.
It's Meat Mop.
Well, it's also totally, as we said, like the Bobble Man from the league. So
yeah. All right. So Thealia, that's at Can Hardly Fly. What are some movies you look forward to in 2017? I feel like horror fans have just been drowning in garbage lately.
I might disagree with that. I think that there's some stuff the last year that's pretty good. I am really looking forward to Split, like out of the gate.
Yeah, it looks really good.
You know, and I think Get Out is another one that just, to me, has so much promise going in.
Cure for Wellness looks great.
Kongs, you know, we were talking about that.
Annabelle too.
Yeah, actually, like looking ahead.
There's a ton of stuff.
Looking ahead, this year could be really solid, like even better than 2016, which I think
there's supposed to be another Cloverfield movie towards the end of the year in October.
Wait, really? Like another one-off thing?
Like
I have no idea.
It's like in the universe of Cloverfield, yeah.
It literally just says 2017 Cloverfield movie, October 27th.
I think like there was some news that just came out about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, if they made a sequel with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, my head would explode. Like that's what they should really do.
Yeah.
It was set up perfectly, right? Like you totally could make a sequel if you wanted to. They'll do another one-off thing, I'm sure, but
no, it's set in space. Like it's like cast and everything. It's like the plot is like it takes place in space. I don't know. It's like takes place in space.
How have I never heard of this?
I think it might. There's a couple movies. There's one called God Particle. It might be that one.
What?
I've got a bunch of movies on my list.
That is not a thing, Joe.
It is. I'm almost positive.
Actually, the God Particles are a real thing, Joe.
Astronauts must fight for their lives after making a terrifying discovery in outer space. Produced by J.J. Abrams.
Love it.
Directed by Julius. Oh no.
Aren't we seeing the new Aliens movie this year too? Alien. Right. That's got to be this year. I've been seeing I just saw a trailer for it. Right.
Excuse me. I don't think so.
I don't know. No, there is a trailer. I don't know if it's this year. I guess it must be.
It's got.
There was a list on bloodygoodhorror.com of most anticipated horror movies of 2017.
Good job, Joe. You're like a regular Mark over here. All right, one last Ask
Mark
BGH.
2.0, Joe, someone would call me.
To show you the power of Star Wars, when I typed Ridley into IMDb, Daisy Ridley showed up before Ridley Scott.
Shannon at Goose Bear Duck, sorry. Says, my wife didn't hate this. Is a boring horror movie okay if you can bring a non-horror person with you? And what was with the train? So there was the train reference. That there's nothing. There is nothing.
I would never take a non-horror movie person to this because then they're going to hate horror and they're not going to want to watch other movies with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've had that conversation about sort of like starter horror or kind of like normie horror in the past.
It's got to be decent.
Yeah, this is. The hard part is like
you
decent for us usually means something scary, and that's the thing that like puts off.
Yeah, but you also want it to be competent enough where they're going to be like, yeah, like that was kind of enjoyable. I would do that again. Whereas the Bye Bye Man is not going to do that for you. For the record, Alien, what's it called? Alien
Covenant.
Release date May 19th, 2017. So that will also be this year. I'm going to say it's feeling like a number 4 on my year-end list, but I'll wait until we see.
Eric doesn't even need to see like marketing materials for these movies anymore.
I got this.
Come on.
Just pencil it in. Okay.
Listen. I am way committed to this joke, Schnar, so I hope you ride
That's
along with me.
that's all we got, Eric. That's all of our tweets.
Great.
So
On Twitter, at BG Horror. This has been good, you guys. To echo Joe's sentiment, this just feels right.
it's weird because there's less people, so you don't have to like fight to like get a word in.
I can just ramble all I want. It's great.
Yeah, but like it's a lot more work. Like I'm more tired now than usual. So.
I feel great. I feel like I really got some things out there.
Yeah, I feel good. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. Next week, John?
Split.
Oh, so excited.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna go see the crap out of that this weekend. Directed by who, John?
Good. M. Night Shyamalan. Ding dong.
Shyamalan.
You're just doing a Dana Carvey impression there, John.
There we go.
Do we know what's the week after that? I'm just curious.
We do.
Resident Evil.
Oh my
The
god.
final chapter.
This is like the greatest month of my life.
It's
We got
just fan
Split,
service.
we got Resident Evil, then we got Rings.
So excited.
Then we got a week off.
All right, guys. Bloody Good Horror. Deep. Getting into 2017 here. Hope you guys are enjoying the ride. Next week, Split. We'll talk to you then.
See you.
Oh, that's it. Bye-bye.